All right, welcome back everybody. This is the final video in our Cisco VLAN series. If you're just joining us, there will be links to the previous videos in the series down below. If you want to skip that and just learn about switched virtual interfaces and routing between VLANs using a layer 3 switch, I'll give you a quick recap of what we've done up to this point. In the first video, we used a Cisco Catalyst 2960 switch in building 1. So this was a 2960 switch. And we configured it with two VLANs, VLAN 10 for the accounting department and VLAN 20 for the marketing department. In the second video, we configured a new switch in building 2 and discussed trunk ports and trunking modes. And in the third video, we showed you how to route between the two VLANs using a method called router on a stick, which requires a separate router. In this video, we're going to replace the 2960 switch we had here with a 3560 switch, which is a layer 3 switch. Where layer 2 switches make all forwarding decisions based on MAC addresses, layer 3 switch can also make decisions based on layer 3 addresses, better known as IP addresses. In other words, a layer 3 switch acts as both a switch and a router. So we can accomplish the same thing that we did in the previous video using just this switch, and there's no need for an external router to make that work. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our network. And like I said, you can see that we've replaced the 2960 switch with a 3560. And I've already configured the VLANs and trunk ports to match the same configuration we had on our 2960 switch back at the end of video 2 before we showed you the router on a stick method. So at this point, the computers in VLAN 10 should already be able to communicate with other computers in VLAN 10, but should not be able to communicate with computers in VLAN 20 and vice versa. So let's just do a couple of tests here just to ping and make sure that that communication is working as expected. So from PC1, I'm going to ping PC2, and that is successful, and it should also be successful pinging PC5 that is in building 2 but is still on VLAN 10, and that does work. Let's ping something in VLAN 20. It should fail, and it does, and we'll just ping all of those just to verify that we cannot get to any of those. Well, I should have typed .20 for the subnet. PC4 fails, and PC6 should also fail. And just let's also verify that the PCs in VLAN 20 can all communicate with each other. So from PC3, I'm going to ping PC4, that works, and ping PC6, and that works. And just real quick, we'll just verify that we can't ping anything in VLAN 10. Alright, so we've done our tests. Let's go ahead and show you how to configure this network. And you're going to find this is far easier than doing it the router on a stick method. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're just going to take a look at the VLANs we have here using our show VLAN brief command. And there we got VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. So we want to route between those two VLANs. So the first thing that we have to do on this layer 3 switch is we have to enable routing. It's not enabled by default, so let's go into configuration mode, and to do that, the command you would do is IP routing. That enables routing on the switch. However, that is not the only thing we have to do, because we still have to create virtual interfaces in each VLAN so that we have basically a place for our default gateway. So let's go ahead and go into that configuration and show you how to do that. If you remember, to get into any interface configuration mode, like for example, to get into interface fast Ethernet 01, you type internet or interface space fast Ethernet 0/1. That would take you into configuration mode for that interface. With VLAN, with the switch virtual interface, it's the same thing. So the difference is you would type interface VLAN and then the number of the VLAN. So now we're in the interface configuration mode for the switch virtual interface for VLAN 10. So since it is an interface, it needs to have an IP address. Because it's going to be our default gateway for everything on VLAN 10. So we'll give it an IP address of 10.1. And there's our subnet mask. And now we want to do the exact same thing for VLAN 20. So interface VLAN 20. Now we're in the switch virtual interface for VLAN 20, and we're going to give it an IP address that is in the 20 subnet, because it is going to be the default gateway for everything in VLAN 20. Now, believe it or not, that's all we have to do on the switch. Enable routing, and then assign IP addresses to our switched virtual interfaces in each VLAN. So now that we've done that, let's go over here to PC1, and let's see if we can ping our default gateway. Successful. And let's make sure before we do any other tests, our default gateway for each PC in VLAN 10 is going to be 10.1, which is that switch virtual interface. And now let's see if everything worked correctly. What should happen is when I try to ping something in subnet 20, just based on my IP address and my subnet mask, we know that we're not going to find that computer in our subnet, so it has to go to its default gateway to find where to go. Our default gateway is the switched virtual interface for VLAN 1 on this 2560 switch, and since it has interfaces in both networks, it should be able to route. It knows the route over there to get to VLAN 20. So let's test that and see if it works. And there we go. We have replies. So we're pinging from a PC in VLAN 10 to a PC in VLAN 20. And let's go the other direction and see if we can ping PC1 from PC3, and we can. And just for giggles, let's try to ping something in the other VLAN, but also in the other building. And there we go. We're getting replies. So that's all there is to it. You've seen how to configure switched virtual interfaces on a layer 3 switch in order to be able to route between VLANs. And that's about it. So that does it for this video series. Keep checking back for more videos, and if this was helpful at all, please click subscribe, just so I'll know there's an audience out there for this stuff. And if so, I'll just continue to create videos. You may see some other videos on VLAN topics. They may not be in this series here, but we may expand on VLANs later on. So if you enjoyed it, come on back and take care.